Hello everybody, Ben Woodruff here, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about bowerbirds. These birds are incredible because they're arguably the only life form on Earth that makes mate selection based specifically off of a value of artistic expression. Hope that piques your interest because we're going to deep dive into this. So first of all, let's just think about it a little bit. You know, in general, there's a lot of ways that mate selection happens in the wild. So I think most people are familiar with like deer or bighorn sheep, where you'll usually have males fighting over kind of the dominance of the herd. And so there's a genetic pressure that makes bigger, stronger, bigger antlers, bigger horns. The bigger those are, the more desirable you appear, but also more importantly, the more you are able to dominate over any competitor. Therefore, if you win that battle, you get to pass on your DNA. That's a lot more forceful. Then you also have animals where there's something that is given, a division of resources. For example, birds of prey. Birds of prey, they mate for life. But in the rule with birds of prey, as in nature, everybody wants to kill you and take your food, or kill you and make your food, except for your parents or your mate. And your parents will, as soon as you leave and are on your own and independent, they'll still compete with you for food, and you become a wild adult. But with a mate, they'll share food. Specifically, the male will bring food to the female. And that is done beforehand, before they lay eggs, and all through the breeding season. So we believe that this is saying, hey, look, I'm sharing something. Normally, I would fight for this resource, and anybody who would try to take this resource from me, I would attack them back. But instead, I am bringing it to you. It's kind of a peace offering. Here you go. And it is also displaying, look, I can be a good provider. So it is showing trust, and it is showing a usable skill. Look, if you start a family with me, I can be a good provider. There's an incentive for you to be with me and a genetic imperative to do so. We also have the same thing with one of our close relatives, bonobos. Bonobos are close related to chimps, and bonobos, they're mostly vegetarian, but they occasionally will go after protein, and they will hunt capuchin monkeys. And the males will go out and they will hunt these monkeys. And then it's something that it's a very violent thing, but you bring back a female that you like, you bring her back, here, look, here's a leg of a capuchin monkey. And she's like, oh, okay, you're a good provider, you're a good hunter, sure. And then they will mate, they'll, exchange genetic material. And so again, the female there's an incentive. It's like, I'm getting something out of starting a family with you, but there's also kind of a genetic reason. And that is because that male was a good enough hunter that it was able to get some, kill a monkey and be high enough on the pecking order to come back with it from all the other males and provide it. Therefore, you're passing on the DNA of potentially a good hunter. Now, with other birds that are getting closer to bowerbirds, you have some differences. So, for example, turkeys. Turkeys, most people always see them with their tail out, but normally walking around, they have their tail down. But they will flare out their tail, and the males will kind of strut and prance and have bravado. Now, the rule in this case is it's a display of dominance. It's still also, hey, look, females, look how impressive I am. But at the same time, they're fighting the males for the chance to impress the females. So you have to be the most dominant male, have the best tail and the most aggressive moves. But you also are trying to impress the females. The females come around and are watching like, oh, okay, what's going on here? So it's kind of a mix of things. We also have this with sage grouse, and there's many other birds. I'm just giving you a few examples. Sage grouses will have what's called a lek. They'll have an area that's cleared apart, and this goes on for hundreds, even thousands of years. A lek will last. And the grouse come to this, and they strut, and they dance, and they perform. And again, it's just like with the turkeys. They are simultaneously trying to impress the females, but they're also simultaneously trying to show bravado against each other and have kind of little fights and shows of dominance. So you are showing, look, I'm impressive. Look, I'm fancy, but at the same time, also, I'm strong, I'm tough. These are all kind of dominance-based or gift-giving based. Then you have birds that will have a lure based off of novelty. Like, who are you catching just the attention of a female? It just has to be about being novel. So birds of paradise are gorgeous. The males are ridiculous. There's a number of birds of paradise species. They're in Papua New Guinea, and these birds have ridiculous over-the-top feathers, and they have ridiculous over-the-top dance displays that they do. If you can go online, look on YouTube, you can see all kinds of crazy videos of these goofy dances they do. So you're trying to attract the attention of the female, but the thing is, when it comes to novelty, you have to be different, but not too different. You have to follow the rules, but be on the edge and do something a little different, because every male bird of paradise knows the dance. You have to do the dance basically right, but if you do something slightly different, shake your head a couple more times, or make a slightly louder call, then it's like, oh, that stands out. You stand out from the other males. I'm going to choose you. We have the same thing with peacocks. Peacocks, everybody's familiar. The male peacocks, they all spread out their tail, and they're these fancy dance displays. And what they've developed over the years is, if you have multiple males that are trying to display and trying to be fancy in front of the females, then how do you stand out? So what's happened is, now the males have started to rattle their tail, and when they do, it makes a shaking sound, a rustling, a sound. So it's like, oh, look over here. Oh, look over here. Now, their tails are ridiculous. The tails of the females, the peahens, they're normal size. The tails of the males are ridiculous, but because of the selective pressures of the females choosing, well, oh, this one's fancier, I'm going to go with that. Oh, now this one's fancier, I'm going to go with that. That has selectively bred male peacocks into these insane, gorgeous, ridiculous, over-the-top tails that really are kind of a nuisance. They're kind of a problem when it comes to flight. I mean, they can fly still, but I mean, this is going to cause problems if a predator's coming up after you. They could reach up and get you. I've seen videos of tigers. I've seen videos of two male peacocks strutting, and then a tiger comes charging in, and one flies up, and the peacock grabs him by the tail. But you're trying to pass on your DNA. So I had an interesting experience. I went to an aviary near my house, and it was right at the time of the year where the males were starting to strut. Too early for the females. But again, you got to be ahead of your game. Again, you got to push the envelope of what is, considered normal. And again, I want you to think of this in terms of humans. New dance moves are always coming about. But if you look at the history, oh, you go to this dance, and you look, every 5 years you kind of have some new dance moves coming about. But if you go from this dance and you go like 50 years in the future, it's like, what is this? It has to have a slow gradient. And it's the same thing with animals. For peacocks, if you're doing something too radical, like if a peacock in December is trying to dance, all the females are like, what are you doing? This is ridiculous. But starting a few weeks to a month ahead of time, starting to strut, okay, you're pushing the envelope. This is good. So at this aviary I went to, it was as such. The males were starting to strut, the females were not interested yet. But they had these little things where you could feed the females, or you could just feed any of them. You could just get some food and buy it and put it out, some little pellets for them. And I'm like, I'm going to try an experiment. So I chucked some food down behind me, and I put my hands in the pocket of my jacket and turned it upright, just big old ugly brown jacket. And all the peahens came rushing over to me. And all the males started flipping out, and they started and going over and wrestling, and trying so hard. They're like, no, pay attention to us, pay attention to us. And so the drive was there to try to catch attention. So we see in nature, there's a lot of times where you have fights, you have dominance and bravado, you have gift giving, and you have dancing and calls. Do I do the right call? Do I do the right dance moves? I've got to do the dance moves that are acceptable for our species, but I got to do something just slightly on the edge, slightly different of that to give the female enough novelty to perk her interest. Great, we're used to that, so we've established that groundwork. Bowerbirds are different. Bowerbirds, they make a bowery, and I'll tell you what that is in a second. But what's strange about this is, first of all, you have to understand, Every egg of a bird is fertilized separately. This is not like if you have a dog and a dog breeds and then, oh, I'm pregnant, I'm going to have a whole litter of puppies from one interaction. It's not how birds are. For birds, every egg must be fertilized separately. And bowerbirds will go around choosing different mates and interbreeding with different males based off of what the bowery is, and they will then, the males will not help raise the young at all. They have nothing to do with it. So it's entirely based off of artistic expression. So what these birds do, there's a wide range of bowerbirds. They live in Australia and Papua New Guinea, and they make a bowery. There's a wide range of colors of these birds, but they make a bowery. And what a bowery is, it's a structure. Some of them are kind of simple, some of them are kind of fancy. And the males will make a bowery, and it's a display area. It's like, hey, come here. It's like, I would like to show you my art. So they make the bowery, and the bowery has got to kind of fit the basic rules of the species. So it's like, hey, that's like a peacock doing a basic dance move. It's like, look, here's a bowery. See, I'm a suitable male. I have made this bowery, so I'm an acceptable prospect. But now I invite you to look at what's going on the inside of me. What is my aesthetic, artistic sensibilities? And that is very different. So just about every bowery itself within a species is going to look the same. You can tell this is from this species, this is from this species. That part looks the same. But around the bowery bowerbirds will collect objects. They will collect bits of plastic, blue plastic. They'll collect rocks, bits of bone, beetle shells, anything, little tiny bits of flower petals, little tiny bits of fungus, and they will organize them in a very specific way that is their own personal expression, that is radically different from anything else of the species. And the females will go to these bowers and they will inspect, they will look around, and they'll look through and they'll say, okay, it is clearly an artistic expression. It has absolutely no relationship whatsoever to suitability as a mate. Because again, the only thing the male is going to provide is genetic material. He's not going to raise the babies. He's not going to build a nest. He's not going to feed the female. He's not going to feed the babies. He's doing nothing else other than just mating and providing genetic material. That is it. So this bower has nothing to do with whether or not you're passing on good DNA. It's not, but this bower does not share, oh, I'm getting the DNA of a strong male or a good hunter male or a fast male that can escape predators. It doesn't say any of that. It is 100% artistic expression. It would be, the equivalency would be kind of like if you went to, if humans said, okay, well, women will choose their mate 100% off of art. So men have the standard of like, okay, all of you men, you get to make a frame, and the frame is, 2 feet by 2 feet. And it's a frame, and it's got gold around the edge. You all have to have that. That's like the bower. But then what do you paint inside? And a female will go around, and she will go around the art gallery and look, I like this one. Oh, I don't like this. Some she might not even go over to, and she's allowed to just totally avoid them. And then eventually she'll be like, I like this one. This one does something for me inside, and I like this one. And then you mate with that based off of that art. That is what this is like, because this has no genetic purpose. So it's a very strange thing. These bowers are interesting. I've seen videos where one bowerbird was collecting these shiny blue beetles. We know that a lot of bowerbirds love the color blue. We see that coming up again and again in many of the bowers. And I've seen this video where this one's collecting beetles from the forest, and the beetles keep walking away, and the male's like, no, get back there, and keeps trying to clump them all together. So it's amazing. This is really arguably the only example in the natural world, in all of life, where entire species make their selection of a mate entirely off of useless artistic expression, off of novelty and artistic expression that has absolutely no manifestation as far as what it was providing. It's just I like the way you express. I like what you are expressing outwardly from the inside of your head, because we don't know what's going on in the head of animals. You can recognize fear, you can recognize excitement, you can recognize anger, you can recognize these kind of things. But you don't know what a bird's favorite color is. You don't know if a bird likes a shape or dislikes a shape. You don't know these things, or the order of things. If a bird likes or dislikes a sound, we don't know these things. But these things are individuals. So not only is this very fascinating that you have a species that is expressing and choosing a mate entirely based off of artistic expression, but also it gives us a rare window into the inner mind of another life form. What are they thinking? What are they feeling? What sways them? What shows up as novelty to them? There's only really one other example I can think of. There's a fish that makes kind of these mandala kind of rosettes in the ocean, and it finds a silty bottom, and it makes these different patterns. They're all geometric, but everyone's a little different. The female will go around and look at each of these, and she'll select her mate based off of which of those she likes. And again, it doesn't reflect anything other than artistic expression. So if there's more, go ahead and let me know in the comments if you have any other examples. But again, the bower birds, because again, there's several species, truly a magnificent species. And again, remember, each egg has to be fertilized separately. So the female will go around to different bowers and check and be like, today I'm feeling this bower, this artistic expression opens my soul, it gets me excited. I'm gonna go with this. And then maybe a few days later no, I'm gonna choose this one. And the males, then that's it. They don't build a nest. They don't help incubate. They don't provide food. They provide nothing. The only thing they provide is an artistic flair and passing on their genetic material. So a lot of people aren't aware of these birds, so I thought I would make a video explaining it. So I hope you enjoyed learning more about bower birds, and I hope you'll go online and look at videos of them, because it is fascinating to watch. And always remember that life is a gift. So never stop learning and never stop exploring. We'll see you next time.